motherfucking sharks right fucking now.
Good morning, Patriots. How you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of LaMonte, Missouri. I hope you're having a great day wherever you were at. That was the Babylon Bee with Double Tap. And I didn't realize that they had the MFer in there. I apologize about that. When I listened to it on my phone, I had the volume down, so I couldn't understand what, it seems like all these AIs got to use the words. And I apologize about that. But, it is what it is. It's Friday. I'm broadcasting on all the frequencies and channels you can find. And, it is what it is. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, even when I mess up. And the word of the day, as given by the Lord and brought to us by Marine in the Woods, is Mark 2:15 through 22. That's Mark 2:15 through 22. Make sure you crack open the Bible, see what God has for you today, because God is absolutely good all the time, even when you're not. I mean, especially when you're not, right? Am I right? Am I right? Babylon Bee bringing tomorrow's headlines today in the form of satire. Democrats accuse Luke Skywalker of war crimes for using more than one proton torpedo against the Death Star. In addition, for calling for Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to resign due to his oversight of military drone strikes against drug boats, Democrats also accused Luke Skywalker of war crimes for using more than one proton torpedo against the Death Star. Criticism arose after the young rebel pilot destroyed the Galactic Empire's new superweapon, as Democrat leaders blasted him for going far beyond the level of force necessary and firing two proton torpedoes into the Death Star's exhaust port. Totally unnecessary and uncalled for, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck E. Schumer, or some say Chuck U. Schumer. One proton torpedo we could accept, but two? This type of wanton violence is strictly forbidden under the commonly accepted rules of war. While there are acts of aggression in every conflict, this uncivilized farm boy from Tatooine engaging in conduct that is irreprehensible, regardless of whatever harmful acts the Empire may or may not have perpetrated. We're calling for a full investigation into this Skywalker individual, along with his entire Rebel Alliance insurgency group. They have to be held accountable. Other Democrats in Congress echoed Jeffrey's statement. This was a war crime, pure and simple, argued Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. These predominantly white rebels not only carried out a terrorist attack against a government installation, but did it with a level of bloodthirsty violence that violates international and probably intergalactic law. This Skywalker person and his friends are consistently talking about fighting for freedom. He sounds like another one of them Trump mega terrorists, if you ask me. At publishing time, an Obama-appointed federal judge had ordered the Death Star to be rebuilt. It's only funny because it's true. That's what makes it funny. Anyways, lots of news breaking. We're going to get started with it. But before we get started with that, I just want to remind you to go get your loved ones for Christmas the chocolate sauce that makes your pants fall off. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The new and improved Snow Slim comes in chocolate raspberry. It has the Moros blood orange extract that is clinically proven that over 90% of the people who have taken it have lost weight. I personally have lost about 10 pounds just on this product. It's been a game changer for me, probably would be for you. And right now for the Christmas season, available. And if you sign up today between now and the 12th, you will get an extra $15, like a little coupon or a credit immediately upon becoming a customer or a social marketer. If you want to make some money instead of just spend some money, you'll be given $15 to use towards any purchase, including the mint chocolate Snow Slim, the chocolate sauce that makes your pants fall off. Just send me a message to PatriotMikeShow@gmail.com or hit the little QR code at the top. It'll take you straight there. And if you want to know more about how you too can promote what you are doing, can make a little extra money sharing with your friends and family this great line of products, just send me a message and we'll talk about it. PatriotMikeShow@gmail.com. All right, let's get on. Hey, how do y'all like my new background? Did you see what I did there? What do you think with the Christmas theme with the snowflakes and stuff? Yes, no, maybe so. Anyways, did you even notice? I'm just saying. It is that time of year, Christmas. All the crumb crunchers think that they want something for free or something. little plastic crap from China under the tree and such. It is that time of year. Anyways, so the Seditious Six says the folks behind the Seditious Six, Barack Hussein Obama, John Brennan, Jake Sullivan, Victoria Nuland, Samantha Power, Lisa Monaco, Susan Rice, et al., are working with Leon Panetta to lobby Republicans in both houses in an attempt to smear and remove Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. They're just repeating the same old crap over and over again. They just rinse and repeat. They're going back to the Signal app because they came out and said, "Did your wife do that for you?" No, AI did that for me. I put it in Chat GTP and said, "Could you add a little Christmas?" That's literally what I did. Just can I add a little Christmas? That's magic. I know. We're not supposed to use Chat GTP because it's AI and it's the Antichrist and all that stuff. But I'm pretty confident Chat GTP is not, because it doesn't get things right a lot. Anyways, excuse me. Caroline Levant. Anyways, Hakeem Jeffries, who says here, Hakeem Jeffries, I can say the word when I was off the air, but now that I'm on the air, I can't say the word. Begrudgingly, there we go, gives Trump credit for securing the border. Like, just wait, we got more. I'm cheap for buying lab grown. Am I cheap? Heck no, you're not cheap for buying lab grown diamonds. I'll tell you right now, my wife has a very expensive, when she bought it, it was like $7,000 wedding Leo from K Jewelers, Leo wedding band. And it's got that big fat Leo diamond on it. She never wears it. I mean, on occasion. No, instead she wears a moissanite, which is like a diamond, only flawless. It's a couple carats. It's huge. And she wears that most of the time because she feels like if she loses her $250 moissanite, she'd be sad. But if she loses her $7,000 Leo, she'll be really, really, really sad. So yeah, no, lab grown. By the way, at dealing in jewelry, since we're on the sidebar, since we've jumped off the rails, we might as well go all the way. I'm selling jewelry. So I have jewelry right now. It's over in a little box because I don't keep that in the shed. But I have gold wedding bands and silver wedding bands with diamonds in it. And I look at it immediately. I knew it was a diamond looking. I could tell right away. You know how I could tell? It's easy. As my wife calls it, frozen spit. They don't fake them that ugly. I'm just saying, they don't fake them that ugly. When you look at your stone and you're like, man, that thing looks dirty, and you go to clean it and it still looks dirty, and you look at it in a loop and it's just ugly, you know that's real. The lab grown ones are usually perfect, flawless. They're gorgeous. So no, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Go for it. And if it's a lab grown diamond, it's chemically a diamond. If it's a moissanite, the only way you can tell is if you can see the double refraction that they have. My wife can spot it, but I can't. She's yelling right now that I'm talking crap on her ring, the one that she wears all the time, but I'm not, because she's only listening to part of the conversation as usual. All right, so we got them. We got them. Oh, wait, let me play this for you first. This is out of this. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this is out of Canada. Listen, this is the one of the ministers in Canada and what he wants to do. Where's Aaron? Are you on here yet, Aaron? It's your fault.
In Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Romans, there's other passages. There's clear hatred towards, for example, homosexuals.
That's all, folks. Let's slow it down just a little bit. Apologize. All right, here we go.
In Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Romans, there's other passages. There is clear hatred towards, for example, homosexuals. I don't understand how the concept of good faith could be invoked if someone were literally invoking a passage from, in this case, the Bible, but there are other religious texts that say the same thing. And somehow say that this is good faith. I mean, clearly there are situations in these texts where these statements are hateful. They should not be used to invoke or be a defense, and there should perhaps be discretion for prosecutors to press charges. I just want to understand what your notion of good faith is in this context, where there are clearly passages in religious texts that are clearly hateful.
They want to ban reading the Bible in Canada.
Yeah, and I warned people, just like you were warning people for years, and I said, listen, you should pay attention to my accent. Clearly, you can tell right away I grew up in hell. Okay, I grew up behind the Iron Curtain under the boots of the same system, a totalitarian regime. So you should pay attention to people that escaped hell, and now they are warning you about, what hell looks like, how it smells, and what is going to happen, not just to you. You may not care about yourself, my friends, but what is going to happen to your children and their children. Because it's easy to destroy a republic. It's easy to destroy democracy. It's crazy difficult to rebuild it.
Okay, I'm not going to play it. It's 8 minutes long. I can't play the whole thing. But did you see what they're trying to ban the Bible and institute fines for reading it in Canada? I don't see that ending well. I don't see God letting that just lie. I'm just saying. Of course, then again, there are some Patriot Christian podcasters that I know personally that say the Bible's all full of lies and Jesus wasn't the Messiah or wasn't the Son of God. To which I told him, you are not a Christian. By definition, you are not a Christian, period. And then there's this one. It's hard to see. It's real small, but I'll read it to you. You've probably seen the meme already. It says, for sale, due to recent changes in market conditions, I've decided to sell my 4-motor open seas fishing boat, top speed 56 knots, for catching very fast fish. Lots on a board storage space, but no fishing gear. Serious inquiries only. I know what I have. Not for long. Yep. We got a lot of stuff on the Venezuelan fishing boats because the controversy keeps blowing up, literally blowing up. No pun intended. Well, maybe it was intended. So here is. Wait. I know I keep finding things I want to talk about. Did y'all see this? Well, yes, the term Christian is a derogatory term created by the Romans. It meant little Christs. Toyota is introducing, thanks to the relaxed standards that Donald Trump just put in place. Toyota is introducing a new car or new truck to the market. It's supposed to be around $20,000. It's called the Toyota Hulks Camp. It'll be available in the American market. Light duty basic pickup that will sell for less than $20K. That one's got a diesel engine in it. But anyways, and everybody's all, well, why can't GM and Ford do that? Well, if Toyota does this and they sell, GM and Ford and Chrysler and everybody else will do that. That's absolutely how it works. Donald Trump said this: we have two options. Deport every single third world migrant, illegal alien, and American hating visa holder, or surrender our nation the way the United Kingdom have and watch our society collapse in the coming years. Well, yes, absolutely. That's what we have. Let's see how quickly I can get kicked off of Facebook today and YouTube. We'll see what happens. Here is last night as our military took out another migrant fishing boat. No sound on this one. They're taking them out, from what I understand. Someone was telling me they're taking them out with drones. So this is like silent death. These people have no idea it's coming. Smoke them, they said. So yes, they're continuing their war on drugs. The IG has come out and said, and the Democrats are trying to say that the report says that Pete Hegseth used Signal this is all about the Houthi stuff, by the way, which, by the way, Yemen is about to collapse as a government within the next week or so. Marine says Reaper drones. Doesn't the Navy have their own version of that? Takes off from aircraft carriers. I'm pretty sure they do, don't they? Anyways, the Signal X catastrophe that happened that was supposed to take down the whole Trump administration back several months ago. Well, it's reared its ugly head, and there was an IG report, and the Democrats and the media are all saying one thing, but the report says something different.
If you think back to what the narrative was when the whole Signal Gate story broke, it was very clearly the secretary shared classified information and war plans that put American troops at risk. This report directly contradicts that fake narrative. We said it was fake back then, but the IG report today completely underscores what we said back then, and I think exonerates the secretary today. It says it finds explicitly that he shared no classified information and broke no laws.
And one more question.
That's the most important part.
One more question quickly. I mean, now that we're done chasing shadows, do you think there's going to be any discussion on the mission success of the Yemen strikes?
I mean, that's a great point, because I'm sure that as this story develops, you're going to see people use the word sensitive, which is not a classification. It's not a thing. Like sensitive, like what is it? It's just meant to sound scary. You're going to say I shared sensitive information, put American lives. That's not true. And the proof is in the execution of the mission, right? The mission was there was a clear-cut mission. There was a clear-cut end state. No Americans were wounded. No Americans killed. Thank God. And Rough Rider was wildly successful. So obviously, Americans' lives weren't put at risk by what the secretary did.
That's their latest attack, and it's failing as usual. So will the Venezuela one, especially with everything that comes out from the Venezuela. Here is the certified rocket surgeon scientist, Jasmine Crockett, king of the wild frontier, as she gives her thoughts on the narco-terrorist boats.
The allegations of war crimes are real. I will tell you that I personally believe that there may be more than just kind of one incident that people should be looking into, because I don't know where it is okay to just consistently bomb or just blow up boats in the water just because. Like, I mean, it's just, yeah, no, that sounds like murder to me, but like, I don't know, maybe let's do some investigating. Maybe there's something more there.
Well, you see, the President of the United States has these rights because you gave it to them. All presidents. That's why Barack Obama killed like 4,500 people with drone attacks. And you see, as Rubio said the other day, you know, we deploy an aircraft carrier battle group to the South China Sea or to the Persian Gulf or to the Mediterranean, and everybody, yay, American power. We deploy a U.S. carrier group in the Caribbean, in the Gulf of America, and everybody's boo, 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 overstepping the bounds. Does that make sense? But you see, the good news is, Jasmine, even though the Supreme Court just ruled in Texas that the map stays, so you're not going to have a job in a year, I get that. That's fine. Even though that's going to happen, I'm pretty confident that you're not going to get caught up in what's happening for the most part because you're too young. It's all the older guys, the people that have been there a while. Although you've been there long enough, we'll see what comes. What are you talking about, Mike? You'll see. Because it's happening. We'll get to some of that. We'll get to some of that in a minute. Because it is definitely happening. The Democrats, by the way, are mad, like Mad Magazine mad, about Donald Trump calling Tim Walz a retarded and calling Somalians garbage. They're mad about it. Here's The View talking to Stephen A. Smith, sports analyst turned political analyst. You know, others have tried. Many have failed. I think he's succeeding. He's on The View, and they ask him about the retarded stuff.
Trump is claiming that he aced the cognitive test, even though he's going on late night Truth Social tirades. In the middle of the night, he's texting and calling Governor Walz a name that we don't use anymore to disability. He's attacking female reporters as piggy and ugly. He's falling asleep in the middle of a meeting. I mean, I said yesterday that Marco Rubio is boring, but not that boring that he would fall asleep. So what do you think's going on with him?
Trump is being Trump.
Really? There's nothing cognitively wrong there?
Well, I'm not saying whether there is or isn't. What I'm saying is 77 million people don't care. They voted for him. And those same 77 million people.
Is it still that number?
They would do it. Well, you could say that it is or isn't, but the point is he's the president of the United States. Despite the onslaught of stuff that was coming his way, he knocked off folks, and the Democrats let him because they weren't on their game. Now you have to look at, because obviously he's not going to circumvent the 22nd Amendment, which will enable him to run for a third term. So now you're talking about J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is considered the adult in the room, Secretary of State, National Defense, the National Security Advisor. You got J.D. Vance, he's the vice president, but he seems more Trump-ish in terms of how he conducts himself and how he's willing to go after people. So who is Trump going to support? One of the things that I talked about on my show was that I said, don't fall for it. Look at what Trump is doing. Trump is positioning himself to remain in power, even if he isn't the president. He wants to make sure he maintains that level of influence. And so because of when you see what he's done with the Honduras president, letting him out partying, even though the man is alleged to assist in funneling 400 tons of cocaine into the United States.
He was serving 45 years.
He was serving 45 years, absolutely. And you let him out in the same breath. You're bombing people in the Caribbean for the very thing that you said was a problem.
Well, let's talk about the bombing.
He's doing what he's doing, but in the end, what it comes down to is that you're going to have to be him because he is going to make sure he dictates
If he
who his
stays awake.
successor is going to be.
If he stays awake.
Anticipate he's going to be awake.
My friend,
Joe.
Trump being Trump. I think that was why I shared that. Trump being Trump. You see, Trump called Tim Walz retarded, and Tim Walz is highly offended by that. He says he doesn't want to insult retarded people by Donald Trump calling him retarded. No, seriously, though, he's going around telling people to stop driving by his house and yelling retarded out the window.
True. This creates danger. And I'll tell you what, in my time on this, I'd never seen this before. People driving by my house and using the R word in front of people. This is shameful. And I have yet to see an elected official, a Republican elected official, say, you're right, that's shameful. He should not say it. So look, I'm worried. We know how these things go. They start with taunts, they turn to violence. So deeply concerned.
Like shooting the president? These people. I mean, you literally called the president Hitler. He just called you a retard, which means retard is Latin for slow down. Retarded is Latin for already slow. It's a musical term. We use it all the time in music. But here's the thing. Over $1 billion has been smuggled from the government through Minnesota's government into Somalian NGOs into the hands of Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda. You got one option, Tim, when this all gets wrapped up and you get hemmed up into it. You either go, I'm retarded, I don't know anything, or you go to jail. He's giving you an out. Take it, Tim. Take it. Jazz hands. Take it, Tim. He's giving you an out. I don't think you'll do well in prison. You will not be, you will be the receiver for sure in prison. I'm just saying. Here he is on the verge of tears because Donald Trump talked mean to his Somali friends. Let me just say this. Tim Walz will be one of the first to self-deport. He won't leave the planet, though. He'll go to China, where all his friends are at. Come on now.
Donald Trump's calling our Somali neighbors garbage and the state of Minnesota a hellhole.
Well,
I'm assuming is unprecedented for a United States president. We've got little children going to school today who their president called them garbage. This shouldn't be that difficult of trying to conflate. Look, we see it here. You commit crimes, you go to jail. Doesn't matter what your race is, what your ethnicity, religion. But demonizing the entire group of people by their race and their ethnicity, a very group of people who contribute to the vitality, economic, cultural of this state, is something I was hoping we'd never have to see. This is on top of all of the other vile comments. So let's be very clear. This should be easy to differentiate. You should very easily be able to say, we need to continue to work together. If there's crime, whether it's white, black, who cares? But to be able to condemn this. So I would just be very clear on this. Anyone in this state, especially elected officials, who are unable to condemn this vile attack on our neighbors in our state, you are complicit in it. And it will not stand in Minnesota. So I tell our Somali neighbors, I tell our Hmong neighbors, I tell all of our neighbors in Minnesota, you're respected, you're valued. We're proud of this state that ranks near the top in almost every single category. And I will tell you, the only thing that's hurting this state, as he so falsely claimed to a group of people, is Donald Trump himself.
Yeah. You know what's hurting that state? You, sir. Because you is about as corrupt as they come. And it turns out you're even more corrupt than that. I don't want to find out things that I feel is about to come out. Oh, by the way, real quick. Remember yesterday when I showed that Turning Point USA said they're going to start going over Candace's claims one by one and invited her onto the show. And then she responded, anytime, anywhere, tell me when, I'll be there. And then I said that I guaranteed that she was not going to that. And I used the CNN interview, the CNN online interview with a third-rate, just out of college journalist, got her stymied by asking a couple of questions. There's no way that she could go and debate this stuff. There's no way that she could, that she could do it live. There's no way. Well, here it is. I didn't think it would take less than 12 hours of me saying that. Kind of weird that you didn't email or call me or to ask about times or availability. You said anytime, anywhere. And chose to instead tweet this confirmation out at midnight. Actually, Candace, they were talking about it like yesterday afternoon. So it wasn't at midnight. It may have been at midnight when you noticed it. Why am I learning about this on X? December 5th does not work in person at 2 p.m. It's also literal time to do my show. My daughter says it all the time. Literally. I'm so tired of the word literally. I don't want to hear another time ever again. I want to just remove that from the English lexicon, which you knew, do my podcast, which you knew. But we will happily cancel the daily podcast and we'll join you guys virtually instead of for a live stream on the 15th, if that works on your end. You know, literally, Candace, literally, you could have simulcast your live show from there. Literally. Could have done your live show. I mean, because you're going to mop the floor with them, aren't you? Literally. I mean, right? No Riz, Ohio here. Literally. But no, I told you she will not do this. She can't afford to do this. She doesn't have the ability to do this. She doesn't have the ability to go out and do. I mean, it was evident. If she can't take on a third-rate, just out of college CNN reporter in an interview and get stymied with a question where the lady actually shows the proof that she was saying she had that she didn't show, but the proof showed that it wasn't what she had. Because if you know, but you don't know, you know. Just asking questions, exactly. It's I'm looking at some of the comments. You guys are hilarious. Literally, nope, it is either or it isn't. There's no in between. And don't mess with Mr. In Between. What song is that? You can eliminate the negative. Grab hold of the affirmative, right? Here you go, Mike singing again. Everybody cover their ears. Anyway, so Candace Owens is backing out. She hasn't totally backed out yet, but if you know, you know. If you know, you don't know that you know. So she's pretty much backed out, but she hasn't backed out, but she'll back out. And I have evidence, and I'm going to give it to you that she's going to back out. Actually, I'm totally being facetious. I don't have any idea, but just guesstimating like I did yesterday, and I totally said it, that she's no way she's going to do this. There's no way. Too much at stake. She can't do it. It's impossible at this time. Here is there's just so much stuff I'm not going to get to today. It's ridiculous. If you're not on my Telegram page, link in the description section. If you're on X, it's not in the description section. You have to go to Rumble. But t.me/PatriotMike. You need to be, because there's just so much that I'm not going to get to today. Just tons that I'm not going to get to today that really ought to be gotten to. I'm just not going to get to it. It's just not going to happen. It's just the way that it is. So Pete Hegseth responds to a tweet after bombing the boat yesterday. He says, Andrew Colvette says, every new attack aimed at Pete Hegseth makes me want another narco boat blown up and sent to the bottom of the ocean. Pete Hegseth says, your wish is our command, Andrew. Just sink another narco boat. There goes another narco boat. There goes another narco boat. Anyways. Yeah, she's full of Bernie Sanders. That's for sure.
I mean, I never
That's
really.
one. That's for sure. That's for dang sure. And then, of course, Tyrus over on Gutfeld's show has to get into the act, and this is what he said.
Tyrus, what say you?
I'm starting to get a little worried about this, Greg.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember when President Trump came on this show. My question was,
oh my God, you're right.
Wouldn't it be cool if you made all the drug dealers terrorists and you blew them up?
I remember that.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
What other suggestions did you make?
Yeah, I made a few.
How many?
I just wanted a horse from Saudi Arabia.
By the way, you asked him for that too.
Yes, but I didn't get the horse. But, here's the other thing. What? Besides the fact that we make policy here on the Gutfeld Show,
yes.
Yeah, put that in your pipe, Hannity. What kills me is the response from the people who have a problem with this, because the original theory behind this was if you sunk a ship in World War II with a torpedo and the ship sunk and all the guys were hanging on the side, that's not the time where you go, target practice, fellas, bomb it again. That's when you're not supposed to. It had nothing to do with how many times you hit a drug boat. This is new territory, so to speak. But when you hear them say, well, it's the best way for them to make money. It's who is in these meetings like, hey, a drug ship got blown up. We need to spin this, fellas. Who's got this? Who's going to save the drug dealer?
Yes.
That's the meeting. We have to turn this around. I don't feel sorry for the guys getting blown up, because here's the thing. In America, no one's feeling sorry for the poor kids who think they were taking an Adderall pill who took fentanyl. See, the thing is, here's the lesson in it for Venezuela or drug dealers. Fentanyl's dangerous. Just being around it can get you killed.
Yeah.
Courtesy of the United States of America. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, this ain't Coke. You know,
is fentanyl coming from Venezuela? Have we seen evidence of that? I've seen that there's a lot of Coke.
Yeah.
But most Americans agree fentanyl is real bad. I think the opinions on cocaine are a little more mixed.
Not if you have a mother or a son who's strung out on it, or you have
horrible. I'm not yet. I was making a joke. Sorry.
Yeah, but the fentanyl and drugs are coming China, Mexico, through Venezuela.
The part of this that is quite astonishing, though, is that the New York Times already debunked the story.
Yes.
Right. And so we're actually arguing over a thing that almost certainly did not happen.
Yes.
That's sitting there.
Yeah,
and
they're
saying,
acting like Pete was drinking a beer with his tie wrapped around his head, going, hit it again.
Right.
Hit it again.
Right. That he's sitting there watching. That's right. He's sitting there watching the end of Titanic and seeing Kate Winslet and Leo on the door, and he's like, "Get him!" Knock those. But none of that happened. And so what you have to wonder is how tied into this is the Democratic video they put out the week before.
Yes, that's
saying
we forgot.
You must disobey military orders if they're illegal, and magically they come up with a military order that may or may not be illegal that probably didn't happen.
We forgot to mention how that is a key point. How on the nose was that? The video a week later, this accusation. It was just, it's that's the story, but you know what?
Well, and if it was the 80s and a Coke boat got blown up, Wall Street would crumble.
Right.
That's true.
It's not the same anymore.
Larry Kudlow would be like, what's going on?
So Tyrus told Trump, why don't you declare them terrorists to go blow them up? So he did. Oh, Lord. And of course, the Democrats, they just can't stand themselves. They just can't stand them. You know why? I'll tell you why. Let's talk about some of the things going on with the Democrats. I mentioned this earlier, but Jasmine Crockett will be out of a job in 2026 because SCOTUS has declared and upheld the redistricting map in Texas. So she is districted out. Goodbye. You are the weakest link. That's okay. She plans on running for Senate and or president. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. She's going to win. By the way, I just pay attention if you would, please. Okay. Watch her over, because I've already noticed it. She goes on these she's talking about Donald Trump and calling people retard and all this stuff, talking about the boat. She's doing all this stuff. But her mannerisms and her hood ratness has left the building, and she sounds like an educated black woman when she's on these shows. She's still saying outlandish things, but she's not going like that. She's not going, you is all dumb because you know that Donald Trump, he be calling everybody retarded. She's not talking like that no more. She's talking like an educated black woman. Why is that, do you ask? Because she wants to be a senator. So now she's going to run around acting like she's not from the hood, even though she's been selling in Congress that she's from the hood. Even though she's not from the hood, she's from one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in St. Louis, Missouri. She went to the most expensive Christian school, prep school in St. Louis. So she's not from the hood. She's never been in the hood. She wouldn't know how to get to the hood, but she acts like the hood because it's her shtick. Just like I act like I know what I'm talking about on my show because it's my shtick. Same thing. She's just selling something. And now she wants to run for Senate, so she can't go across Texas to all them their white voting neighborhoods that she'll need in order to win and sound like she's from the hood in East St. Louis. She can't do it. Yes, a Christian school. Christian by name only, for real. It's really just a liberal, progressive, higher-end elitist school. But, you know, it is what it is. All right, let's move on. But so that's happening. The Texas map is upheld, so they're down 5 seats. Indiana has changed their map. Florida has changed their map. Missouri has changed their map, and SCOTUS is going to rule sometime before the end of the year on the 1970 something law that was passed that said you had to district your maps according to race in the southern states. And if the Supreme Court rules on that, that's a net minus 19 Democrat seats. So you add that to Missouri, Indiana, Oklahoma, Ohio, Florida, and Texas, it's about minus 40 seats for the Democrats. By the way, we're told it's going to be a blue wave. Remember, they won in New York and they won in California. Blue wave, look, Zoltron won. It's a blue wave. Progressivism wins. Happy days are here again. Woo! Right? That's what they told us, isn't it? And then the guy in Texas beats the crazy lib lady in the special election for one of the House seats by 8 or 9 points, and they go, well, he should have won by 13. But you see, and the thing is, that seat was supposed to be in a very unsecure liberal district that he won by 8. Yeah. Of course, they did run a nut job again. I mean, she was crazy. She's running for Congress in Tennessee, and she hates Tennessee. She hates country music. She hates country women. She hates line dancing. She hates barbecue. No wonder she didn't win. You have to at least pretend to like your constituents. Yeah, anyway. let's get back to the vote stuff because we're going to build. Oh, by the way, did y'all see this? Did I talk about this yesterday? I don't remember. Grand jury declines to re-indict New York AG Letitia St. James, however you say her name, on bank fraud charges. Trust me, there's more to come. There's more to come. Look, if you or I do what these politicians do when it comes to mortgages, we would all be in jail. But they won't, because it's rules for thee, not for me. That's the standard. That's the way that it is.
You know, the rate is the Mayan cold.
Yeah. We'll get to all that. I'll get there. We'll talk about the pipe bombers. It's coming. The leftists are, by the way, are all throwing a fit again about Sydney Sweeney and her tight jeans because they don't look good in jeans like she does. So yeah. Anyways, so Gavin Newsom said earlier that when the AP reported that federal judges blocked Texas from using redrawn congressional maps that would boost the GOP in 2016, Gavin Newsom danced around and ran a lap and shouted up and down and said he won. Donald Trump and Greg Abbott played with fire and got burned. Democracy won. This ruling is a win for Texas and for every American who fights for free and fair elections. Oops. Maybe you shouldn't have danced so soon. Because the Supreme Court allows Texas to use congressional map favored to Republicans and Democrats. Oh, darn it. Oh, shucks, darn. Darn. By the way,
and we've studied over
there's a 50-50 chance that the California Supreme Court overturns Prop 50 because they added to the Constitution how you can change the districts. But they basically did what the Democrats in California did is they gerrymandered the Republicans right out of the office. Just there's a super majority of Democrats in the House and Senate in California. And they gerrymandered it. They just gerrymandered the GOP out. Then they set it in constitutional law that it had to be the way that it is. And it has to go through a panel set up by Democrats in order to change anything. Constitutional law. Yeah. You know why they did that? If by some reason, some way, somehow, Republicans was ever to win, they couldn't ungerrymander the seats. That's why they did that. Tried to make it last forever. Well, that didn't work out. That didn't work out for them because, well, now they're trying to get rid of some more Republican seats, and they can't because they sealed it in law. Dumb. These people are dumb. Dumb. So there's some hearings been going on in the Senate and in the House and whatnot. And they're talking about voting, and they're talking about the Democrats are saying Republicans are wanting to steal the elections. And Eli Kane just lays it out for them. Here we go.
Here to fight for every single person who lives in our country, to make sure they have fair representation, and to make sure that we are funding our states adequately. We're not here to try and rig elections so that more Republicans win. Mr. Chair, yield back.
Yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Crane from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My colleague just said we're not here to rig elections to make sure that Republicans win more elections. That's exactly what you guys are trying to do. You guys are trying to rig elections. You guys in the last administration let in between 10 to 15 million illegal aliens. I also want to point out that you guys keep referencing the Constitution. I got some Constitution for you. How about Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution? It requires that the federal government protect each state from invasion. That's something clearly you guys did not do while you had the presidency. And now that we have these millions of illegal aliens in this country, we're just simply asking that we put a question on the census, are you an American citizen? And of course you guys don't want to do that, because you know that if we do that and the American people find out exactly how many illegal aliens are in this country and voting, they're going to be as appalled as we see each and every day. And you guys don't want that. And they're not allowed to vote. And you guys try and block every single effort that we make in this House to stop illegal aliens from voting. You guys blocked the SAVE Act as well. That's exactly what this is. You guys are trying to rig elections, and we're trying to stop it. And we're not going to apologize for it.
Yep, they're not trying to rig elections. Elections have been rigged for my entire life. The reason why during the 2020 election, a bunch of the Republicans, they kept saying, no, all the 60 court cases ruled against Donald Trump, and all the Republican governors and all the Republican senators and all of Humpty Dumpty's men couldn't put it back together again. That's because all of the judges and all of the Republicans all got their jobs through rigged elections. How do I know? Well, something happened in the last 24 hours. Something happened. You know, Donald Trump's been down there with a bunch of Marines and Navy folks and Air Force guys putting a little pressure on Venezuela. And Venezuela has how shall I say, surrendered. We're going to walk through this here real slow. General Flynn briefed President Trump 4 or 5 months ago about the Venezuelan military intelligence whistleblower who just confirmed the CIA outsourced election rigging technology like Smartmatic and Dominion from Venezuela. By the way, don't forget that a voting advocate, a strategist from St. Louis just purchased Dominion voting machines, lock, stock, and algorithmic barrel. Just keep that. They're not talking about that. Just take that and set it over here on the back burner, because that's going to come into play with what we're about to talk about here in the very near future. Just put your conspiracy hat on and go, gee whiz, how did a guy from St. Louis, who's not a billionaire, not a captain of industry, just a strategist, just a GOP political guy, how did he get the money to buy Dominion voting systems? And why would Dominion voting systems sell? They don't have to sell. Why did they sell? I mean, they just got a gazillion-dollar lawsuit settlement from Fox News. That's weird. Why would anybody want to buy Dominion voting systems if Donald Trump's going to convert everything to paper ballots, same-day voting? You know, you want to talk about conspiracy theories, you want to go down a rabbit hole, think about, stew on that for a little bit. So we're going to take Dominion voting system, we're going to set it over here on the back burner and just let it simmer for a while. You know, when you take that good meat and you stick it in that there crock pot and you let it simmer for 7, 8, 10 hours, it always makes it good. It always makes it real good, right? Right? Am I right? You know what I mean? And then we'll go back here. General Flynn briefed President Trump 4 months ago about the Venezuelan military intelligence whistleblower who just confirmed the CIA outsourced election rigging technology like Smartmatic and Dominion from Venezuela, says Patrick Bryan. Before the first U.S. strikes against Venezuela, this is why U.S. warships are surrounding Venezuela. It's not about narco trafficking. It is about narco trafficking, but it's also about other things. In 2006, Lou Dobbs reported Smartmatic voting machines were managed by Venezuela. Sidney Powell has been saying this since 2020. This is how they stole the election. A Venezuelan military intelligence whistleblower just confirmed the CIA outsourced its election rigging technology from Venezuela. This is about more than narco trafficking. Venezuela military intelligence whistleblower just confirmed the CIA outsourced election rigging technology like smart managing and dominion from Venezuela. Sidney Powell has been saying this since 2020. This is how they stole the election from Trump. Weaponizing narco trafficking by global mafia is about rigged elections. And so you have to ask yourself, what is going on here? Okay, we've heard the prophecy from Kim Clement. Yeah, so give Mike Lindell back his money, right? I agree. The one about 2 shall step down from the highest court of the land because of embarrassment of what's about to come out. This is another prophet lady that I follow a little bit. Clarence will be protected. Sotomayor and Roberts will expire. Clarence will lead the court. Talking about Clarence Thomas, this guy.
What's Clarence Thomas going to do? I'd rather die than withdraw. If they're going to kill me, they're going to kill me. So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court? I'd rather die than withdraw from the process. Not for the purpose of serving on the Supreme Court, but for the purpose of not being driven out of this process. I would not be scared. I don't like bullies. I've never run from bullies. I never cry uncle, and I'm not going to cry uncle today, whether I want to be on the Supreme Court or not.
Yep. And when you know that military law do not apply to civilians and the Constitution does, and the Constitution can take care of this through civilian courts, you don't believe the Patriot insurgency mythology. Just saying. If military law takes place, by the way, there is nothing in the Constitution for martial law. Our Constitution is based on the Declaration of Independence, which says our rights are endowed by our Creator and that governments are made to protect. You call me wrong all you want, because here's what I'm saying to you. If they declare martial law and the military moves in, the military does it, the military is the only way, the military tribunal, look, that may have been the plan. Let me say this real slow for you so that people will understand what I'm saying. That may have been the plan. Not God's plan, not Donald Trump's plan, the plan. Hillary Clinton's plan, Barack Obama's plan, George Soros's plan, Klaus Schwab's plan. To have all of us patriots going, yay, the military's moving in, it's going to arrest them all. And we lose. Because we will have abandoned our principles. We will have abandoned our Constitution to do that. And it's over for us. Insurrection Act is another question. That's a different thing. That is following the laws in the Constitution. And that will be done through civilian courts, not military courts, unless there's a quote. There's a set aside here. Mark Kelly will be tried under a military tribunal. And people like him because he was in the military, still is quasi. They can be recalled. Military law does not apply to civilians. I know what multiple prophets are saying. I know even Amanda Grace has said it. There will be courts, there will be justice, but if the military does it to civilians, we lose. Listen to what I'm saying to you. There may be military tribunals for alongside this for people who are in the military, subject to Uniform Code of Military Justice in the process of all of this. Let me tell you a little something about prophecy that God has taught me the hard way. Prophecy is not to be predicted. Anybody that's telling you that God has told them it's going to be this, 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 and this, and it's going to happen then, and now. I'm not saying they're not a prophet. I'm not saying they're not hearing from God. I'm saying they're doing what God told me specifically not to do because it's witchcraft. When a prophet from God gets a message from God, you're not supposed to predict it. You're supposed to watch for it. It will happen. And when it happens, you're supposed to give glory to God. Yeah, there's a great example there, Chuck. I'd love to see VENMO tried. VENMO will be tried under Uniform Code of Military Justice. There's your military tribunal. But civilians will not. False revelations. You know, how do you know that they're false revelations? Here's the thing. They see something. God shows them something. Their mind interprets it. Then they try to guess what it is with their mouth. When I understand what God, I know I'll find out. So will you. I'll find out, and so will you. When they give a prophetic word, then they try to interpret the prophetic word. It's their interpretation that's the problem, not the word. Unless they're specifically gifted in interpreting dreams and stuff like Daniel was. Now, he went before the king and interpreted the dreams. That's another thing. But 99.9 out of 10 times with these prophets that are out there, their prophetic word, I mean, the Holy Spirit, I'm feeling it's all over. God's confirming their prophetic word. And then they go into their interpretation of the prophetic word, and the Holy Spirit turns off. I'm telling you, don't just listen to the prophetic word, memorize it, write it down, whatever, watch for it to happen. And when it happens, what are you supposed to do? Give glory to God. So that's, and of course I do this. I try not to, but it's human nature to. And I'm here to tell you, the military is not coming to save us. Not by any stretch, but God said, I'm doing this. Nobody's doing this but me. What's about to happen? Anyways, back to it. It says, massive Venezuelan military intelligence whistleblower just confirmed the CIA outsourced election rigging technology to Smartmatic from Venezuela. This is the main reason warships are surrounding Venezuela. By the way, there can be all the military tribunals you want in Venezuela. That's a totally different. Constitution don't apply. Aside from narco trafficking, this is not about oil or Israel. My name is Hugo Bor. I'm not going to try. I can't say that. Carvana. I don't know. Boris. For many years, I was a high-ranking member of the Venezuela regime. I was a 3-star general trusted by both Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro, and served as director of military intelligence and a deputy in the National Assembly. Today, I sit in American prison because I voluntarily pleaded guilty to crimes charged against me in narco-terrorist conspiracy. Smartmatic was born as an election tool of the Venezuelan regime. That is absolutely true. It absolutely. Smartmatic and Dominion both came from Venezuela. Both use the same technology. I know this because I placed the head of IT of the National Electoral Council. So we have that. That's interesting little factoids, right? Then there's this. Now, I played on Monday Maduro actually saying these things.
Hugo Vario, a three-star general from Venezuela, former head of intelligence. He's been sitting in Rikers Island federal prison for the last, 6-8 months. He just flipped on all of Venezuela and Maduro. Wrote us a letter. Yeah, even entitled, Dear Mr. President and the American People. You go find it, you go read it. He alleges 4 big things. Says he was involved in personal knowledge of 4 actions against the U.S. Number 1, he says there was totally, for the last 20 years, a state-backed drug smuggling operation. 200 tons of cocaine a year they were bringing in via military planes and by ports and boats. Yeah, he says that's enough cocaine for 5 whole Diddy parties. Is a lot of cocaine. Number 2, espionage, a whole spy ring in systems. They brought in migrants, diplomats, bribed U.S. diplomats, bribed CIA officers. They gained access to military bases, including Venezuela allowed Russia to come in and actually attach to one of our undersea military communications cables. General Flynn says once Russia got into one of those cables, they had access to all of them since 2015. That shit's been going on. Number 3, they totally imported all the gangs. And it's in connection with the Biden administration. Shocker, that's not new news, right? But they brought in all these gangs. They emptied their prisons, all of it. He admits to all of it. And number 4, this is the big one. I'm not even gonna be able to say this shit on TikTok. I'll have to edit this part out for TikTok. Election interference. Yes, he says through Smartmatic, they figured out how to manipulate all voting machines through the Smartmatic software. And not only did they export it to the US, exported it globally. Global election manipulation, lays it all out through the CEO of Smartmatic, and he just cops to it all. Patrick Burns was just on Alex Jones, and he says this is the signal that within days now, Trump is going to go into Venezuela. It's much bigger than the drugs. Venezuela tried to buy us off with the oil. So those were the deals that they were offering. This list. These 4 points are the things that must be ended between Venezuela. This is the CIA and the Democrats' little piggy bank. Yeah, they've been laundering money, election fraud, all that shit. These motherfuckers, guilty as sin, and now here's the dude rolling over on all of them. He's gonna sing, name names. Bye, motherfuckers. There you go. All we need now, smoke Maduro, arrest the motherfuckers here. Good luck to you. Long live this beautiful republic.
So that's going to get me flagged on Facebook because of the music in the background. But, I don't care. It is what it is. It's it's starting to get a little peachy. Now, we've known about this stuff. Somebody's going to say in the comments, I'm sure, before this all said and done, we've known about this for years and years and years and years. Yes, I know you've known about it. I've known about it. But that's not the important part, because the important part is the people in position know about it. Here's that video, Alex Jones and Patrick Bryan.
The Michelle Obama thing, it passed unnoticed a few weeks ago in the press. She turns out to have gone in the last days of Biden and using the auto pen gave 4 or 5 pardons. Now, the chances are 100% someone got paid something. Now, you might not be able to find it in a bank account. Could be crypto, could be the way they do things. Right? They got paid Chicago. In addition, the Tony Reza stuff. You're one of the few people who knows all these stories. You know why Obama and Tony Reza were like this? Because Tony Reza is a Syrian Christian, and one thing Syrian Christians know how to do is keep their mouth shut. That guy did a decade in prison for Obama, keeping his mouth shut. Anyway, so there was that. I think the president also highlighted that because I was telling the world, roll early, roll often. There are certain key figures who are considering flipping sides. And I want them, I think the president clearly wanted them to think about that. When you're part of a mafia like this and it's coming apart, you want to be one of the, they only give deals to the first guys that come in with information or can corroborate a bit. You want to be one of the first.
Now you're here with a major deal that just got made. So again, why would Trump want people to not, he didn't just post that, they also linked to the full interview. Why does the president want people to see what you said? Well, he said in the interview, there's things Trump can't tell people about why we're really doing this. It's really about taking the Democrat deep state piggy bank away.
Well, that's a hypothesis on your part. I think there's a lot. That's probably on the list of reasons to hit Venezuela. That's probably not in the 10 top list of the top 10. What the reason to hit Venezuela? So yeah, I think he was also by truthing that, doubling down on this, telling any people out there with information, now is the time. And I can assure any such people, you've got days, maybe hours to go make your deal.
I was about to say, so that's probably the message is roll right now.
Yeah, roll early, roll often. And then the other thing,
Donald Trump shared this video.
No, but just finish up with that, and finish up with, and let's get to the huge news.
Yeah, okay. I think that they retweeted that to reinforce the message of roll early, roll often. And I can tell you folks out there thinking of rolling, they keep me on the outside because I'm such a wild card, but I'm close enough. I can tell you, you have a week at the most, maybe days to roll, and maybe less than 24 hours to roll. Everything, and especially with his letter that's come out from Hugo Carvajal, there's just some details to be filled in. So roll early, and also don't take your eyes off the ball with Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama, it's been totally forgotten, but look it up a few weeks ago. She turned out to have gone in the last days and used the auto pen herself. Do you get why that's so crazy, Alex?
It's just absolute. POTUS's linebacker, Anacondas for arms, maybe one of the pants, literally hands on the crime. That's major leverage.
Yeah, and it's all it tells. Well, he effectively was president for the whole 4 years of Biden, so it probably didn't even seem strange to him because he was the president.
We confirmed when Biden first got in that a committee of the Obamas, the Clintons, and Hunter and Jill and a few others would have committee meetings about what got signed. That's been confirmed. They have the chief of staff, as you know, went to Ed Martin 6 months ago with the whistle. They have it all.
Yeah, I have it all. I know that they have convened the grand jury in Florida. All of this is going to be coming. I mean, this is the most monstrous crime in history against the USA.
So Donald Trump retweeted that. Talking about, forgot about that too. Michelle Obama went in, according to Trump, Michelle Obama went in and what do you mean celebration that Kim Clement over on YouTube? Is this the Christmas celebration that Kim Clement was referring to, perhaps? I think that'll be next year. But I mean, again, that's opinion. Me trying to predict prophecy, I have no idea. Just watch. But Michelle Obama went in and used the auto pen. And I mentioned to you yesterday that Jake Sullivan, Barack Hussein Obama's man, who effectively ran the White House, he's the one. He was the one. I mean, it's going to be just all these little things keep coming out, and it's just a mountain of crap. By the way, There's more information coming. But first this. First this. Do you remember this? This isn't recent. This was a little bit ago. Ilhan Omar. This will be important in a minute.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Ilhan Omar. We need to profile and fight the radicalization of white men, because white men commit the most of the crime. Let me show you the white men. There they are right there. And how do I know? Because if you look down here now, this thing's going to pop up, but just look right across this line right here. It's circled. It's highlighted. When the screen goes back the other way, watch this. Here we go. There you go. White man, white man, white man, white man. There's the white men we need to look into, those white racist men, ladies and gentlemen. You see, I can say white racist, white racist, white racist, white racist, white racist on YouTube and Facebook all I want, and it won't flag me for a thing. Not one thing. So I was watching a YouTube video or a TikTok video. I can't remember the guy's name. He's a Christian comedian. He said him and another guy wanted to, just for the fun of it, wanted to make fun of the right conspiracy theorists, just for having fun. And so they wanted to create a TikTok page. Was it TikTok or YouTube? One or the other page called alt-right. And they said, we can't make that. We can't allow you to make a page called alt-right. And then it said suggestions. So they clicked on suggestions. The suggestion was alt-left. That was the suggestion that they gave.
Democrats have a new crush.
You can't have alt-right, but you can't have alt-left. Now, here's the story as it come out. We talked about the bomber yesterday, as we didn't have much information, but information is starting to trickle out. Alleged pipe bomber's family sued Trump's DHS in the first administration over illegal immigration. Asked Biden DOJ to address racism. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's the guy, and kind of getting an idea where his politics were at. And here is Dan Bongino on Fox talking about FBI and what's going on. Listen to what he says.
Our rate has cratered so low, and we're not done. I told the guys that there's some headline in New York Post today. It's going to be crimes at an all-time low in New York. I said, it's not good enough. I said, back again. We're going again. We're doing another roundup. And then when we're done with that, we're doing another one. I said, you know what the acceptable crime rate is? 0. That's the acceptable crime rate. And this president could not be more supportive. I'm telling you, go get him, boys. He says it all the time. And he means it. Wow. He drives around these. What do you think he's doing this for? You think he's doing it to get reelected? You think he's doing it for politics? These are blue cities.
So he goes further on in this interview and starts talking about the pipe bomb. So here we go.
Sean, I don't know what the hell this prior leadership team was doing outside of targeting political opponents, weaponizing the FBI, destroying its reputation, embarrassing agents that are doing really good work out there, catching terrorists, CCPs.
Okay, great question. Perfect example, education time. Thought it was supposed to be an FBI woman, the J6 bomber. Yeah, that was what was coming out. It was coming out everywhere. Everybody was reporting it. I reported it. Everybody was reporting it. Where did that start from? Who started that information? Who was the first one? Go back and research that. We're going to find out that it was a Patriot insurgency circle jerk that started that. A patriot people, there's two types. There's the nefarious types that put out information so that you'll believe it, so that you'll sit there and keep repeating it years and years and years after it's proven not to be reality. Like the EBS. Glenn Beck wasn't the first one. Glenn Beck got it from somebody. I'm just saying, turns out not to be so. And I'm pretty sure Glenn Beck's reporters said that they had somebody, but I don't think Glenn Beck said who it was until after it was already released, that it was this FBI chick. Turned out not to be so. As a matter of fact, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel both came out and said, everybody needs to shut up because you don't know what you're talking about. Which I did at that point. So here we go. Let's continue. Let's just follow this, how it was laid out.
And everyone else. It's almost like they were intentionally trying to decimate faith in institutions. It's horrifying. I don't know what they were doing. I can tell you what happened though when we got there. The director and I, my first meeting, I swore in, and I kid you not, probably 15 minutes later, and the people who are in the meeting know, I said, when I get in there, I want a full brief on this pipe bomber case on day one. And I looked at the case agent after getting a full brief on what they'd done, and they had done some a pretty extensive amount of work. They had chased down, I think, thousands of leads, 6,000 plus interviews had been conducted, hundreds of tips, and it still was relatively stale, the case. And I grabbed the case agent on the way out, and I said, "You're going to get me this guy. You're going to track this guy down, and you're going to find him. You're going to get me this guy. I want him." And that started what's been almost a 9-month operation right now to make sure that we could get full accountability and transparency to the American public and find this guy. And today we did. But Sean, I have to add this because this is really important. You've heard all the cliches, team effort. You hear it all the time in sports. I said it today at the presser, but I want to emphasize this. This was a team. Judge Janine, Deputy Attorney General Blanche, people you and I know very well, AG Bondi. You cannot do anything in the FBI without DOJ process, subpoenas, drawn paper, search warrants, complaints, arrest warrants. Who do you think does that? It's not just us. We're the investigators. They're the lawyers. So that team from day one, I told Pam and Todd, I said, hey, Kash and Kash could not have been more supportive. He's like, Dan, go for it. They said, whatever you need. And their attorneys over there were amazing on this case. So don't just throw the team effort thing out like just a standard cliche. I mean it. They really did a great job.
New York.
So there's Dan Bongino talking about it. And Shirley says this story, and we haven't got to this part yet. You're getting ahead of me, but we'll get there. This story happened before. I can't remember what happened, but they reported that a black man was white. No, it was Zimmerman, a mostly white Hispanic, the Trayvon Martin in Georgia. That's what that was. But you're right. You're right up the alley here of what's going on. Here's what you're talking about right here. CNN, breaking news. CNN, the trusted name in news. How they can do this with a straight face.
Ryan Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction. Ryan Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction.
A 30-year-old white man. I showed this to my wife. I played this to my wife just for the show. I said, this is what CNN's reporting. And she looks at me, she looks at that, and she looks at me and she says, that's the blackest white man I ever seen. Yeah. It's a 30-year-old white man. I think they got that one wrong. Something not right here. These people, I swear these people, right? They're just, Here, just you can't make this stuff up. You just can't. Here is Kash Patel. Let me get it lined up for you. Here's Kash Patel's what he says. When Dan Bongino and I came to the FBI in March, the pipe bomb investigation had stalled for going on 5 years. We rebuilt it from scratch, rerunning every lead, retested every piece of evidence, bringing in top experts, and deploying new technologies to engineer the break that finally nailed the suspect. Today is a result of outstanding work. We didn't need new evidence, just new leaders and a new president at real Donald Trump, willing to let the good cops be cops. I'm extremely grateful for Bongino and FBI WFO leadership team, Pam Bunday, U.S. Attorney Prino, how do you say your name, Piro, and every partner who helped deliver this win. This is a focused, rebuilt FBI delivering results for the American people. Yep, Mimi59 says 59.20 for silver in the chat. Silver's at 59.63 right now on my live ticker. 59.63. Mike, will it get to 60 today? That's the question. Gold's at 42.82. Will it get to 43 today? We'll see.
Okay, the ultimate weapon.
Here is, we'll get back to that one. Here's some more from Dan Bongino. Don't forget that Tim Walz is complaining. Let me add this to the screen. Governor Tim Walz is telling people to stop driving by his house and calling him retarded. Just wanted to reiterate that one because, you know.
I'm gonna alert Twisted Tim.
No one. Well, let's see here. Where is it at? Okay, I got more Dan Bongino. Here's Dan Bongino as he's talking about this. Listen to what he says about the bomber. Oh, wait, you can't listen to what he says if I don't add it to the screen. Wow, somebody teach this guy how to do his job. My goodness. Okay.
New York Post reporting that this suspect, Brian Cole, had possible anarchist leanings. I have other contacts that spoke with people that lived in the neighborhood, that knew him. Any evidence at this point that you can tell us, any anti-ICE sentiment, any anti-police sentiment, any radicalization or evidence of radicalization that you and the team, to quote you, are finding and that you're seeing at this point?
Well, the assistant director in charge of the Washington field office is an absolute manhunter. Darren, you saw him at the press conference today. In just the last couple of months, he's had to deal with the tragic National Guard shooting, Washington Safe Streets program. He's been dealing with this case and other public interest cases as well. I say that because this was a lengthy investigation. This did not just happen yesterday. We've been doing this for a while. As legal process starts to come out and filter out into the public space, you may see some more stuff tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of it, but you'll see more. And I want to be very clear with the public. This is chapter 1 of a 10-20 chapter book. This investigation is not over at all. The investigation has just begun. We've interviewed the subject at length. We are still going through an enormous amount of process, accounts. So
okay, let me just pause this right here. We'll get back to Dan Bongino in a second. But Shirley's saying that's not a man walking around. You guys forget the times we live in. Just take a good look at him. Just take a good look at him, the 30-year-old white man. And what do you see? Sometimes men aren't the kind of men you think they are. I'm just saying. I bet we're going to find out. If you know, you know, you know, but I don't know, but I know.
So it would be very early for me to get out ahead of that on motive. I mean, obviously the motive was to drop a couple bombs and that could have killed people. But what the actual ideology and motivation, I want to be cautious that this gets done correctly. And sometimes smooth is fast.
Yep. Smooth is fast. That's true. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. That's the saying. A black Gavin Newsom. Yes. We got to see how he sits with his legs crossed. If you know what I mean. Why did he wave at the Capitol Police? It's a good question. Don't know. Looks Egyptian. Could be Somalian. Rumors are, and they're just rumors. Who knows? We're going to find out, though. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. It's going to come out. God's already said it's going to come out. So, sometimes men aren't what you think they are when you first see them. And sometimes they're exactly what you think they are when you first see them.
Our community, a lot of people get a lot of bad vibes about it. As you've seen, like basketball or like football, it's a mascot, it's an outfit, that makes you feel like your personality.
See, I'm a furry Therian and otherkin. Therian is basically like mythical creatures and birds. It's more of the aerial type of creatures.
That's otherkin.
No, otherkin is mythical creatures.
I'm kind of Therian because I bark. I can do that stuff. I just do that, and it comes in when my words fail me. Yeah. When I don't have the words to express what I'm feeling. You feel more dog-like. It's not just a personality or a persona. It's what you are.
Yeah. Sometimes, I wonder if the Proud Boys. I saw your comment on there on YouTube. Let me tell you something. Allah is Satan. Oh yeah. Let's see if we can make the demons come out. Allah is Satan. I said it. I can prove it to you. Right here.
Does the Quran state that Allah is Satan? Listen to this.
There are things said about Allah of the Quran that clearly prove he cannot be the God revealed in the person of Jesus Christ. I'll just give one example. Now, one of the things that Allah says about himself in the Quran, and he says this more than one time, in chapter 3 of the Quran, verse 54, it says that he is the best of all deceivers, the best of all schemers, the best of all connivers. The Arabic phrase is khairul makirin. That word makir means someone who is a shyster, a conniver, a trickster, a deceiver. There is no way that a Christian could ever say of his God that his God is the best of all deceivers. Because according to the Bible, that's a description of Satan, not the God revealed in the person of Jesus Christ. Therefore, for Allah to say that he's the best of all deceivers, that means that the Allah of Muhammad is actually Satan in disguise. Because the Bible says Satan is the one who deceives the whole world, not the God revealed in Jesus Christ.
Just to clarify.
Does the Quran state that?
Just to clarify to the guy over on YouTube who was trying to stir a bucket earlier and trying to get me. Oh, I saw you. I saw you. He's probably not there anymore. Oh, it's so easy. You guys make it so easy. It's ridiculous. It's so easy. So here is Senator Mark Warner, and he blames Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump's fault that it took so long to catch the pipe bomber.
Got arrested, but I gotta tell you, it kind of makes me, looking at this crowd doing a victory lap, when all the senior FBI officials across all key divisions have been fired for political purposes, when in some field offices up to 45% of the FBI officers who are doing things like counter-espionage and cyber have been assigned to do immigration cases. It's a little rich that they're saying America's safer. How much earlier could we have caught this guy if resources hadn't been diverted?
So how much sooner could we have caught this guy if resources hadn't been diverted by Donald Trump? But wait a second, dude. Donald Trump's been in office 10 months. You guys ran the government for 4 years. Why didn't you catch him? I'll tell you why I didn't catch him. They didn't want to. They didn't want to. And we're going to find out why the want to didn't want to. It's going to happen. We're going to find out. It's going to be ugly. That's all there is to it. It's going to be ugly. And I'm here for it. John Sullivan's also reporting on some of this. Here's John Solomon on the pipe bomber. And of course, he's bringing it.
So I thought there would be an arrest this week. They were zeroing in on a gentleman whom they arrested this morning in Northern Virginia. And the way this case was cracked was about a month or 6 weeks ago. Bongino, who was the lead on it, and Patel decided to take the old agents off the case and put a new team on it. Now, there was a little resistance, as there always is in the FBI, to any form of change. But the new team came in. They applied some new ideas, some new technologies, and some of the evidence that was sitting right in front of them with fresh eyes was followed, and it was able to be led to this gentleman who they arrested a little bit ago. We don't know much about his ideology or his intentions or his motives yet. And one of the things that FBI officials stressed with me this morning is that this is really the beginning. The arrest is the beginning of trying to understand how this operation was conducted, who's behind it, whether there are more conspirators or whether this is a lone wolf. Still all of that to be determined, but a really extraordinary effort. Almost 5 years later, with a fresh set of eyes and a different approach, the FBI that couldn't solve the case for 4.5 years solves it. Very much like the way the Charlie Kirk investigation occurred in the first few hours. There were a lot of FBI agents in old guard that didn't want to put the suspect's photo out, but Kash Patel and Bongino insisted that was going to be key to getting the father to flip, and they put the photo out, the father flips, and of course you get that arrest as we see. What you're seeing is a different mentality in the FBI, and that plays out in two different ways. First, you see successes that we haven't seen in a while, lots of arrests, cases solved that had not been solved for a long time, other cases which could have gone on for months being solved in 33 hours like Charlie Kirk's assassin. The second part is it results in a lot of whining from FBI people who think they know what's better. And you see that even in the Miranda Devine story earlier this week. You've got these grousers and grouchers because the truth of the matter is Donald Trump ordered Patel and Bongino to break glass at the FBI. They broke glass. And now the FBI is doing things differently. They're succeeding, but there are people who want to focus on the whining and crying, not actually the success of what the FBI has been doing. The way they solved this case was fresh thinking.
Here's what kind of strange credulity in 5.5 years, and Dan comes in with Kash, but Dan puts on it, finally gets tired of it, puts on a new team. Yeah. And I understand it's a fresh set of eyes, a different perspective, but it doesn't strain credulity to think that the original FBI team was really, and this is the problem with all of J6. Were they part of the problem? Because, to say that Bongino and these guys came in and in 6 weeks cracked the case is fantastic. But you sit there and go, particularly you see a lot of these former whistleblowers of people trashing Kash every day. Yeah. Is the building just still adamantly opposed to Kash, Bongino, and President Trump?
Oh, fewer and fewer people are opposed. There are even people that were opposed at the beginning, like this guy's just a talking head. He's not an FBI agent. And then you start solving cases and people are like, oh, damn, hey, this is working. We're getting bad guys off the street. So there are 2 or 3 dynamics going on in the Bureau. The first is there are people that are still the deep state, and as Kash Patel and Dan Bongino find them, they throw them out, or they twist them in a way that they're required to show us what the deep state did the last 6 or 8 years that we didn't know about. Early on, there was some question, why was Kash Patel keeping certain people behind? Because those people wanted to keep their pension, and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino wanted to know what really went on, and they squeezed those people to find out what the dirty secrets were that existed from the Ray and Comey era, and that's how they found the burn bags and they found all that stuff. So you have resistance. That resistance is growing less. The resistors now move to the outside. This report that I think Miranda writes in the New York Post, it's an anonymous whistleblower report. It's kind of weird to have a study that doesn't have any names to it, but a lot of those people are gone and they're grousing from the outside. Inside the building, the people that remain, there are new people coming in that are showing a new wave. Success is breeding trust, and all of a sudden you got an FBI that's doing things. And there's a lot of unique things going on inside the FBI. It's remarkable to think that we've watched the Ukraine and Russia war take place, and all of these small drones creating incredible lethality, and have an FBI in America that until just a few months ago didn't have a counter drone program. Just think about that. Now there's a counter drone program. That's a major change. Agents who realized what a big change it was, they like it. Those who didn't like it don't work there anymore. Similarly, they're using artificial intelligence to sift through evidence and to reanalyze evidence in a different way. Hey, we got phone records, we got credit card records. Are there some connections that our eyes didn't see? And I have a funny feeling when we're done that this new team that was put on there will likely have used some technology and some new capabilities to reanalyze the evidence in a way humans couldn't, and maybe find that nugget or two that led them on the path to this bomber. But I think that's what's going on. Listen, there's a deep state everywhere still in America. There's a deep state, as Liz Truss reminds us, all across Europe. They're alive and well. If they're not inside the Bureau, they're causing harm outside the Bureau as angry anonymous sources and news media. But the truth of the matter is, when you look at the Bureau's capability, I've covered the FBI for 35 years. I've covered this building inside out. I broke out a lot of the big whistleblower stories of the last half century, from Oklahoma City and the FBI lab to 9/11, where I won all those awards, to this is a different Bureau. It's functioning differently, and it seems to have gotten back on mission a little bit more. There's still partisans. There are still incompetents. There's still resistors and deep staters, but the ship is starting to turn, and over time, more and more of the resistors are going to get thrown overboard by the wake of what's going on.
John, we want to hold you through the break, and I got Mike Davis, Julie Kelly coming up also. You had a big...
So if you listen to what he's saying there, Cash Patel and Dan Bongino went in and destroyed the deep state in the FBI, or captured them. There were people that wanted to keep their pension, didn't want to get fired, so they'd lose their pension, everything else. They're now flipping. There's a lot going on there. There's a reason why the media is saying January 6th is a mega white supremacist insurrection, according to the Democrats and the media. I'd like you to meet leftist Brian Cole, the J6 pipe bomber, the face of mega white supremacy. Listen, Linda, listen. What's going on here? This is the unraveling of January 6th.
There's going to be a lot more.
This is the unraveling of January 6th beginning. That's what this is. We're going to find out that this guy is way more active than you think. Here's little bits of this and little bits of that leaking out. Daily Wire. Accused pipe bomber Brian Cole worked to get illegal immigrants out of ICE facilities. Sues Trump DHS. D.C. Court of Appeals ruled against him weeks before January 6, 2021. He later hired Trayvon Martin, attorney, to call on Biden's DOJ to punish anti-black racism. Can we trust the flip? You don't understand the point with these FBI agents. Look, they're cleaning house, but there are some who were involved in the cover-up. The reason the FBI didn't find the bomber is because they didn't want to. They didn't want to find the bomber because the white guy, the white black guy, the Antifa BLM activist family, the entire family is BLM activist, Antifa activists. And somebody was asking in the question that, well, all these experts were saying it was he walked like a woman. All these experts were saying it was this other person. I don't remember who said that in the comments. I think it was Wrangler. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point that I've been talking about now for several years. The Patriot mythology insurgents come in And they put all this contradictory information out, all of this subterfuge out. It's a woman, it's this, it's that, it's all of that, right? They put all that out there so that when they capture this guy, maybe it's not him. Maybe this is part of the conspiracy. I don't know. And neither do you. What I do know is I trust Dan Bongino, and I trust Kash Patel, and I trust Donald Trump. What I do know is they're saying it's this guy. Now, they have to prove it in court. As it turns out, as you read around, you look around, this guy was an activist. Now, they can't have let's just, without getting too much deeper into this conspiracy theory, he's connected to Nancy Pelosi. He's was working with the CIA or the the Capitol Police or whatever. Let's not even go down that road. Let's just stop and think for a second. They created a narrative that it was the white, Proud Boy, racist, Donald Trump mega supporters that did an insurrection erection on the Capitol on January 6th. They created this whole entire narrative. Well, if they turned out that they arrested a black guy who was an Antifa activist, a Black Lives Matters activist, for planting the pipe bombs on January 6th or January 5th going into January 6th, well, I would blow up their whole entire narrative now, wouldn't it? We can't have that. Just on that issue right there. Seems extremely plausible to me of why the FBI would go, well, I don't see nothing. Golly gee, we just don't have any idea who this guy is. Now, there's credible evidence out there that whoever this guy is had military, or not military, but governmental access cards that allowed him to access facilities and places because they traced his phone down. What's that all about? I bet we're going to find out. Mike says, what was Kamala doing there? I don't know. That's an excellent question. What was Kamala doing there? Nobody's ever answered that question. We don't know. That's the thing. And the problem is with the Patriot insurgency mythology pushers is they put all this extra stuff out there so that you're confused. So that you believe this and that and the other thing, so that when the real evidence comes out, you're like, And I'm done with that. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to tell you what is today. Tomorrow, when we get new evidence, we'll talk about that. Candace Owens, by the way, is a master of this, and it's making her wealthy. And we're going to find out, I think, in the next week or so, by the 15th, that the emperor has no clothes, or the empress has no clothes, because she is on assignment to cause discord. Here, let me just say it to you this way. You need discernment from God. Are these people that you follow and listen to and like, including myself, what fruit are they producing within the movement? Within the Christian, conservative, mega, free America from the deep state movement? Are they bringing peace? Are they adding to the conversation? I would say Glenn Beck adds to the conversation. Right? That's just an example. Or are they bringing discord and disillusion and destruction and hatred and envy and strife? I would dare say Candace Owens has brought a lot of discord, a lot of anger, a lot of strife, a lot of confusion. If you think about it, over and over again, the things that were said that never happened. Think about it. Think about the stuff that was said that never, ever, ever happened. you know, like RFK Jr. coming back to life, or JFK Jr., one of them coming back to life with Michael Jackson and Princess Diana. All of these things that they said, don't you remember in 21? The military is going to take over. They're going to reinstall Donald Trump. They have all the proof, the evidence. They're going to wake up and arrest everybody, and it never happened. It never ever happened. They kept saying this week. They sound like Christians who say that the rapture is going to happen on the 5th of September or whatever that was here earlier this year. And then when they arrest the guy over on YouTube, well, Brad Barton says they're both alive. I get you. Brad Barton follows a lot of the Patriot insurgent mythology pushers, designed to be that way. You know, there's a whole bunch that's attributed to Q by these anons that never happened, never said anything, never did anything. It was a bunch of malarkey. It got people's hopes up, and they bought their. I mean, this guy was just arrested by the Trump administration. What was it earlier this year? This guy that was arrested about the medbed scandal stuff, where he was selling pre-access to the med beds when Nasera Jacera kicks in. Yeah, okay. So you went to the Lucy, let me ask you a question. You went to the government website, not the link that was given to you by an insurgent patriot, but to the actual government website and read those rules. Because you want to know something? I agree with you. I never followed any of it either. I read the Constitution. And the Constitution is the presiding law of the land. I don't care what section 24CD.ABF of the UCMJ says, because you want to know why? UCMJ doesn't apply to me. I'm not in the military anymore, and I don't have never had enough rank for it to apply to me after my term was up. We got to follow the Constitution. If we don't follow the Constitution, it's over. The jig is up. It's done. Yeah, no med beds. They're not coming. Forget it. No Star Trek. No little indicator thing. You know how they got the little scan over, you know? None of that's real. None of that's real. It's all fake. Not going to happen. Med beds aren't unconstitutional if they existed. But let me tell you something. Every single one of you is going to die. Every single one of you is going to die. A couple of you might make it to 100. But every one of you is going to die. It's going to happen. I don't care what the med bed says. I don't care what the tech geniuses says. We're all going to die. No food replicators, right? I don't know if I'd want to eat that. I'm just saying. I worked at a med bed. They are a scam. Okay. Trump said, did Trump say we had tech to affect space and time? What was he talking about? You know, everybody sends me patents. Do you know that there is actually patents? You can go look this up in the patent office. Go to the government website, go to the patents office. There's patents for FTL drives, faster than light travel. There's patents for electromagnetic inertia dampeners. That's what Star Trek, you know, when the ship comes in and goes boop and stops like that. You know what happens inside the ship if you don't have inertia dampeners in science fiction? Everybody goes up against the wall. Your brain goes up against your forehead. Yeah. So there's the Navy. The Navy has owns patents for faster than light travel, for electromagnetic inertia dampeners, for electromagnetic drives. There's patents for several things there's several of those patents, by the way. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing. There's a couple hundred or maybe even more than that patents for a better mousetrap that are a bunch of ignoramus things, people, including a mousetrap that when the mouse goes and gets there's a revolver, and when the mouse gets a tree, the revolver goes pow, kills the mouse. That doesn't make it a viable product. Just saying. What I'm saying to you is not only on their side, not only the crap they were telling us, but the crap we were telling ourselves, most of it ain't true. And I've definitely stopped following most of that stuff. The Gina Haspel. Do you remember Gina Haspel? She was arrested by a bunch of Navy SEALs in Germany. And took her to a dark site, and she's spilling the beans, and she's got all the evidence on the computer service that shows that Donald Trump actually won the election. You remember that? That was one of the theories. I talked about it when I still believed in that crap. And what it did it for me? You know what did it for me? I'll tell you what it did for me. Because all the time that stuff was coming around, all the stuff that, like someone was saying, Brad Barton talks about, all that stuff, all that hopium, all that military's coming to save us, all that stuff, the spirit inside of me is going, nope. 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 And guess what? And guess what happened? I started learning to trust the Holy Spirit way more than I started learning to trust the Patriot insurgents who were put in place by the same people that didn't arrest this guy in order to cause confusion and chaos on our side, make us look like fools. That's what I did. There's already companies making flying cars. They're basically drones. Flying cars are a thing that could happen. I doubt it will ever, in our lifetimes, become feasible. It's not whether or not they can make the technology. It's whether the technology is feasible for mass production. That means a lot. Yeah, Brad had a military guy that was fraud. Yep. There's a lot of frauds out there. The problem is want-toism. You want to believe it. And I'm going to go with skepticism. I'm skeptical of everything, especially things that make no sense when it comes to the rules of the Patriot Mike Show. Like, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. The laws of physics still apply. If it's too good to be true, probably is. We can't drive in 2D, let alone 3D, right? Yeah. See, the thing is, there are so many laws of physics that apply. There's so many laws of economics that apply. You know, the Nasera Jacera thing. Let's just talk about that for a second. There's universal basic income. You know, JFK ain't coming back. Neither is Junior. Universal basic income. Nasera Jacera. They're going to pay off all your debt. They're going to give you a bunch of money. Your house is going to be paid for. Your car. I personally know people who maxed out their credit cards because it was coming and it was going to pay it all off. Let me tell you, the problem with that is that there are economic principles that are true. They were true 1,000 years ago, and they're true today. If you flood the market, look, water or currency is fluid. Money is fluid. It goes to the path of least resistance, okay? If you flood the market, everybody gets a big pile of cash. Everybody's houses are paid for, all that stuff. You won't be able to buy a house. If you let's just say everybody gets all their debt paid off and everybody gets $1 million. When you go to the car lot to buy yourself your dream car, it's going to cost $150 million. Because there's an economic principle involved. Supply and demand is involved. Well, all of a sudden, there's a ton of supply of cash that will not be worth anything. And that's what happened. And that's a ton of demand on products because everybody's got a big pile of cash. This is utopian socialist BS. This is modern monetary theory, which is communism. Nasera Jacera is communism. All of these things that they were talking about, including the military's coming to save us, leads to the great shift, leads to what they want, leads to a worldwide government controlled by a strong man in the military. You see where I'm going? Listen to what I'm saying to you. If you don't want to be deceived when that time comes, if you're still here, stop believing all the hype. Because Satan is going to give you exactly what you want, and you're going to cheer it in on your way to hell. Take a step back and use discernment. Take a step back and use discernment. We don't want these things. You don't want these things. You want an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. That's what you want. You want the ability to take your honest day's pay and reinvest it and make it work for you. That's what you want. Austrian economics. That's what you want. That's freedom. You want the government. Donald Trump has been saying that he's going to get rid of taxes. You want the government not to steal your livelihood, and you want the government not to steal your future wealth and the wealth that you would leave to your children. That's what the government does. It does it through taxation. It does it through inflation. It does it through monetary policy. There just was a report out today, and Democrats and Republicans alike are boo-hooing it. Oh my God, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And it goes out and it shows. It goes out and shows see, it just goes to show you. Fremont 1126. That's called knee jerking, is what that's called. Don't listen to me. Believe in the things you want, and when it comes, applaud it and join in with it. Get your Nasera. Get it all. Go get it. I will not. I will not participate. You got to understand that principles still apply. Facts are facts. Hopium is hopium. We've all been led down a path that leads to nothing but destruction and death in the long run. We got to step back from that. We got to step back from it. You got to take a deep breath and you got to ask God, what is real and what is not. We have lived through a great deception, but a greater deception is coming in the next several months that by far will be way more deceptive than what we've already been through. We've been living a psychological operation on both sides. And we are woefully unprepared for what's about to come. It's not doom and gloom. I'm sorry that I'm taking away your hopium. I mean, we win. God wins. The prophecies tell us fall in the fall and all that stuff. But you got to understand, left wing, right wing, same bird, and the same thing applies to the Patriot movement. Our Patriot movement has been taken over, just like the Tea Party movement was, just like the Christian Coalition was. It has been taken over. They know what they're doing. They're leading us to a color revolution. And let me tell you something, but God, we are deceived. There is so much deception. And you don't believe when your guys, the guys that you voted for, when Trump does what you voted for, we capture the pipe bomber guy. That's not it. That's not him. That's not him. That's not him. Because the Patriot mythology people told me that it was some other person. When they capture the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, and they said we're searching a grander conspiracy, you believe all the people that tell you the government's stance is one thing. When the people in the government are telling you it's another thing, you believe them. And then you believe all the conspiracy theories. And you believe, you got to understand, we're being lied to. Stop with it. We got to stop and take a deep breath and take a step back. We got to sit down before God. I challenge each and every one of you this weekend. It's Friday. I challenge each and every one of you this weekend to take all that stuff and just set it, everything we've been told in the last 5 or 6 years, and just set it aside and humble yourself before God and ask God what he thinks of those things. I challenge you to do that. See what he says. And when he answers you, listen. Even if you don't like what he says. Because I guarantee you, it will change your perspective on some of this stuff. Because it did me. Well, I was going down the road too. Do not go down the rabbit holes. It leads to death. I know 2 women, and it just happens to be these women. I'm sure there's men out there too that have lost their ever-loving minds to this. I'm not kidding. Like, to the point that they stand in Walmart parking lot saying that Elon Musk is the Antichrist and Donald Trump is his prophet, and they jump inside people's trucks and vehicles and tell them that the end is nigh. That's how far gone they are down this. Take a step back. It's way more simpler than that. You got to understand, you take all the wisdom of man, all the knowledge of man, all the conspiracies, all the experts, all of it, and you put it before God, and it goes, bah. That's why he calls us sheep. And sheep are pretty dumb animals. Humble yourself before God. And lower your pride and ask God. The woman that did the Fall of Cabal series committed suicide. I hadn't heard that, but that's interesting. That's what he's saying. I don't know. It is what it is. It's Friday. Take a deep breath. Turn it off. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it again on Monday. I'll be here to shoot down your favorite conspiracy theories. I'm just playing. It's fine to have your theories. It's fine to go and do all that stuff. It's fine, but you have to face reality at some point. What goes up must come down every time. Rules still apply. And God is in control and nobody else. Nobody else. Anyways, you guys have a great day. I will see you all Monday. Take some time off. And Aaron, I'm not going skating ever. You guys have a great day. Talk to y'all later. Patriot Mike.